Hello and welcome. Here we are. Just making sure everything looks good here. These flowers in view. Fabulous. I'm just going to wait a second or two for people to join us. I see one person is here. Welcome. I invite you to take a breath with me. Here we go. Welcome, my friend. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maria Alejandra. You can call me MA. And today we're going to do something very special. It is the full moon in Virgo this evening. And personal anecdote, I intended to create this video yesterday, but last night was a really tough night emotionally for me. I had one of those nights where, hey Heather, one of those nights where I was crying my eyes out in the bathroom floor. One of those classic moments when you just hit rock bottom. And those who know me and know my story and my husband's story will probably guess why I was in that state. And if you don't, my husband was diagnosed with ALS almost 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago in March that we first really understood what was going on. And it's been just so painful. And I say that because yesterday around this time, I was just snot, down my nose in the bathroom floor. And then today is a new day. And I've learned not to force myself to do things that don't feel, hey, Christy, not to force myself to do things that don't feel right in the moment. But when I feel that something is right in the moment, even if sometimes I'm feeling like there's just hard energy around it, I try as much as possible to move through it. And I invite you to do the same. So today we get to sit together to create a full moon ritual. This is a lunation that I see really as a connective tissue, like a bridge between the material and the spiritual. We'll talk a little bit about the importance and the beauty and the opportunity with this full moon. I have a couple little props that I brought. I also brought some cards. We'll see where this takes us. We'll probably be together for about 30 minutes, I'm guessing. Maybe we'll do some closed eye meditation. We'll see how it flows. If you're here, welcome. If you're watching the replay, welcome as well. Thank you for being here because this energy is very much in the moment. It's applicable whether you're watching it right now or you're watching it the next day or even into the following days, because this full moon is really symbolic of the times that we're entering right now. So, first, I'm going to go ahead and light a candle. If you have a candle with you, do that as well. If not, then this candle is for all of us. This candle is for you. It's for me. It's for our intentions. It's for everything that we are releasing. It's to both illuminate our path and also to clear away anything and everything that is ready to get cleared. Full moons are always an opportunity to unpack your spiritual, emotional, energetic suitcase and baggage. So I invite you to see this as an opportunity to do that as well. So may this light shine our path and help us to clear away anything and everything at this point that is ready to be dissolved and transmuted and alchemized. I am calling this, see if we can see the candle there. I'm calling this particular moon the Merlin moon. And Yes, that Merlin. And indeed, these are Merlin times. I'm going to create another video a little bit more specifically about how I see Merlin showing up for us as a really powerful guide over the next 2, 3, 4 months, maybe, and maybe even beyond. And this has to do principally with the fact that Saturn, as of today, entered Pisces. If you've seen any other videos about the cosmos, maybe here and there, you have for sure seen a video, received an email, something about this big, massive. One of the biggest things that are happening astrologically this year is this entrance of Saturn, this great master and lord of time and structure, coming into the sign of Pisces. So we're definitely going to infuse some of that in the teachings that are coming, that are going to come through today. And I say coming through because part of my intention is to actually channel a bit of the Merlin archetype. And this is something that I was taking a shower yesterday and it popped in like, oh, channel Merlin. And I was like, really? It's one of those things where I just like, feels really uncomfortable. Very, yeah, it's like, oh, really? We're going there? And the clear answer I got is yes, we're going there. And these are the times to go there. So I feel very comfortable. I've channeled and I've certainly channeled in front of other people. It's something that I'm getting more and more just at ease with. I feel very comfortable doing channeling myself. This is something that privately I will get in a space where I am absolutely channeling the, whether it's archetypes or goddess energies, or even the, when I'm doing my astrology readings with people and I'm reading their charts, there's always channeling that comes through. I know the guides are coming through. I've also had some experience channeling people that have passed on. It's not something I focus on, but I certainly have that sort of that thing. I see Molly's here. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that you're here as well, Molly. Thank you for joining. This is going to be really, really special. So, we're going to channel Merlin today. And we're going to channel Merlin because I believe Merlin has some really powerful, beautiful, grounded, and very magical guidance to give us. Merlin to me is an archetype that just says Saturn in Pisces, because Saturn is like this father time figure. Merlin isn't necessarily father time, but he is this wise figure. So Saturn has this wisdom. Saturn has been around. Saturn says, when you put forth the energy and the structure and the discipline to make something happen, that is when you check those like Saturn boxes. We have all these interactions with Saturn throughout our lifetime, um, that inform how we grow and inform the things that are happening in our lives and how we are stretched and how we continue to show up for ourselves and the mission and the purpose that we carry here on earth. And having Saturn enter into Pisces, the most mystical, magical sign that encompasses, the absolute captivating enchantment of the universe and of just this, it's hard to describe because it's the most ethereal energy. So that to me has, again, Merlin written all over it. So we'll see what he has to share with us today, and I'm really excited, and again, super like terrified to do it, but I realize more and more that we get to walk our talk. And so walking in magic means, for me, it's like, okay, well, I get to walk in magic and I get to um, share the things that I do in ways that also challenge me, because these are the times for this, and we've been preparing ourselves for this. Um, we've been going through the ringer of transformation to emerge in this point in time, and wherever you can stretch yourself even a little bit to really tap into your own sense of mysticism, whatever that looks like for you, I think we will be blessed tenfold by the universe, because it's the time for that. It's a time for the mystics to come out to play. And so we're going to do a little bit of that today. Um, so let's talk about how this full moon connects the spiritual with the material. And if you have your journal, if you brought it, if not, all good. Just think about it, bring this into your imaginal space. I want you to think about yourself as both a ethereal, spiritual, luminous being, and also a very grounded being in the material, not having to do with materialism, but material in the sense of what we actually create. Um, the Virgo and Pisces axis, right? Because these two signs are connected, are all about light, magic in Pisces, and the form and the sense of service that comes in Virgo. Virgo, as an earth sign, is also the sign of the medicine woman and the medicine man. And so it is really this bringing of all this ethereal knowledge into a grounded space of bringing it through into everyday life. And so I want you to think about the phrase turning your light into form. How do I turn my light into form? This is a phrase I mentioned time and time again, and I think it's a phrase that was made for these times. Think about, how do I turn light into form? Light represents who you are, your gifts, your unique view in the world, your magic, your personality, your perspective. Your light also has to do with your story, your personal challenges, your triumphs, everything that defines who you are and also is yet to be explored of who you are. That is your light. And form is how you basically transform that light into something, let's say, tangible. So you turn your light into form by taking an action and building momentum on the things that are soul led. You know, when we talk about soul purpose, we talk about the inklings and the sparks that we have within us to create, to express. Think about all the ways that you create things, the ways that you express things, the way that you bring things to life. This is turning light into form. And I have one of the first props I want to show you today is something I created with my son, Skylar. He's 6 years old, quite the little wise man. Um, I have to tell you a story about something that happened last night that kind of blew my mind in bits and pieces with him. But first, we'll start with this. So, this crystal came with a kit that he got for the holidays, where you basically mix these couple powders together and wait 7 days, and this forms. It's hard to see the brilliance of this in the camera. But this to me, I was looking at it this week. It is this magical representation of turning light into form, of turning something magical, something ethereal into something that exists, that you can hold, that is here and now. And we talk about alchemy and we talk about transformation. And again, we bring in Merlin with his magic. And Merlin also believed that knowledge and wisdom was the true power. There's that Saturn influence again. What we learn in our lives that forms us, which includes the hardship. It absolutely includes the hardship, the pain, the stuff that really, really like takes us through the ringer often ends up being the bedrock of the purpose that we then bring forward into life. And so there's so much symbolism here because these are crystals. Also, how these crystals take shape is something that's completely undefined because there's no mold for this. It's basically in this little plastic cup. And then I have this one and I have a purple one. Hold on. Look at this beauty. Look at this. So to me, that's another exquisite metaphor of what it means to open yourself to the unknown, which is very Piscean, is to trust that something will take form, which is Saturnian, but you don't have to know what it's going to look like, which is Pisces. We had no idea how the crystals were going to look, take shape, if it was even going to work, but we waited and we had faith. Here's the other interesting thing about this as an example and a symbol is once you do the basically the alchemical reaction that will eventually turn this powder into crystals, you're supposed to leave it still for 7 days and not touch it. If you touch it and you disrupt it, it's going to disrupt the crystals from growing. Again, the symbolisms abound. The idea that we have to like create something, which is the momentum, which is what Saturn wants us to do, which is what Virgo also wants us to do. Virgo says, be disciplined enough to make something happen. Virgo is the day to day. Virgo is also the sign of service. It's a sign of purity. It's a sign of taking the purest actions and turning them into something. And so you mix this together, and then you have this hope and this faith that something beautiful will emerge. And you can't even see it when it's in there in the water. But then after the seventh day of not touching this thing and having that hope that something beautiful will emerge, you scoop in, and out comes this magnificent, beautiful thing. And this is what's happening right now. And if we can have the faith to know that something beautiful is emerging, but that it takes our, I always talk about momentum as magic, because that's what's required. That is the connective piece that's required for us to make things happen. It's not enough to just have the dreams. It's turning the dreams into form. And how do we do that? And we are entering a time of turning the dreams into form. And this Virgo full moon is basically asking us, encouraging us, saying, hey, empty out the suitcase of what you've been carrying up until now. Empty out the suitcase. Let it go, because new dreams are going to take form. And what do you want to create? How do you want to bring these things into fruition and into form? And it can look like things that are very simple or things that are very grand. I always talk about riding the cosmic waves. And so this is a moment for you to think about that balance and that communication between your luminous self and your grounded self, your spiritual self and the self that's like right here, right now. How are they coexisting? How are they having conversations with each other? Is one having more importance than the other? One of my favorite things to suggest to my clients when I work with them one on one is, if there's something that they're struggling with or something they want to get to know more about, is to have what I call taking it out to tea or coffee. Um, Imagine you are sitting both of those aspects of yours, the very magical, spiritual. And when I say magical, some of you might be like, oh, I don't even know what that means. Just think about the spirit self, that part of you that you can't even quite describe, but is there. The magical self with the self that's like, doing life. Have them sit down together and share a cup of tea. Have them literally sit one in front of the other and have an imaginary conversation, and have the one ask the other, first say hello, how are you? And ask, what can I do for you? How can I show up for you more? What do you need from me? And create a collaboration and a conversation. And then, after you've had a chance to have these two parts of you convene, write down some notes, right? Like jot down what came through. What do they each need? What are they looking for? What are they thirsty for? What are they craving? Where could they use a break? Where has one been overcompensating for the other, perhaps? There's so many fascinating things that can come from that very simple interaction, but it's actually quite profound. After they've had a chance to have a conversation, I want you to invite Merlin into the equation. And if you're not super familiar with Merlin as an archetype, um, Google him, you'll see some pictures. You probably know who I'm talking about. He's this mythical, sometimes attributed as even a actual person that existed or is derived from a person that existed, that is part of the King Arthur legends. Now there's a whole lot of lore, and this is over years and years and years. So many stories have been told, and it's quite beautiful. But this figure itself, this archetype, is just like when we work with um, goddess archetypes, like we work with Venus or we work with Kali. Um, it can help to awaken and unlock, and you know sometimes illuminate and light up a part of ourselves that was dormant but was waiting for that particular archetype's key. So I think Merlin is a key that is coming into our consciousness and today I get to, at this point in my life right now, I get to listen, right, to that intuitive inkling and share forth whatever comes through. And that's part of that key coming through. Don't be surprised if now you see other things that connect the dots for you in that regard. Merlin is connected to owls, Merlin is connected to swords, Merlin is connected to, again, magic, alchemy, enchantment. He's connected to, you know, he's the cape, the white beard. You can also think about an archetype like Gandalf. And the other day, I was talking to one of my clients in a one-on-one session type setting, and there was something about her astrological chart in the moment that was really saying like Merlin is here, and you're gonna walk through a portal where he's gonna help you through it. And we had a good laugh about it. And I said, listen, create something that depicts Merlin and have it somewhere close to you. Like find his image, print it out, put it somewhere where you can see it, talk to him, ask him. I'm really big on that because symbols are the way for our souls to communicate with us, our spirit to communicate with us. There's always so much noise going on all the time that we need those metaphysical tools. Metaphysical sciences like astrology, metaphysical tools like the tarot, like oracle cards, metaphysical connecting dots like working with archetypes. We need those. Why? So that our soul can have basically like a line of communication with us. It's like our soul picking up the phone and going, hey, there's something I want to tell you. This is what it is. These are the symbols, these are the synchronicities. These are basically the spaces where the veil between the worlds becomes thin and information comes through. And so again, I share that I do believe Merlin has something really cool to share with us. So why don't we go into some channeling with our gentleman Merlin? What I'm going to do is I was about to grab some oracle cards, which I think I will, but I also don't want to use the cards as a crutch right now. I'm just being very honest and transparent because I want to be able to tap in from a place that's a lot more pure. And I really want to trust myself. Feeling the butterflies and all, I want to trust myself. Channeling as a way of bringing forth information, teachings. Ultimately, whoever is receiving this message is also, almost like calling in this information into your life. So if you're here live, if you're watching the replay, if you're feeling into this moment, know that you are part of this process of channeling. This is for all of us. So trust also whatever comes through for you. Trust the way I keep thinking about the phrase connective tissues, which is weird because I really hadn't thought about that phrase before pressing record. It's not a phrase I like use often, but the connective tissue between our spiritual self and our material self, the self that is here in this like form that we can touch. So in this moment, I would love to invite the energy and the archetype of Merlin to come visit us. And right away, I feel this absolute delight and this joy. I smell a little bit of patchouli, which is interesting. Merlin, are you wearing patchouli? He's tall. I can hear the like sort of kind of a rustling of his robes. It's like you're walking and this fabric is like brushing against itself. It is absolute joy and it is wisdom. It is the joy that comes from having been around and alive for so long that nothing surprises you. Nothing, it's like you just, because you've been around. So let us all just be open in this moment to see. I know that you're around in my consciousness for a reason, Merlin, and I thank you for being here. It's not the first time you've been in my consciousness, but you're certainly coming through really, really strongly and really beautifully. And so I'm here as your humble vessel to share with us what we're ready to know and understand at this time. Immediately, curiosity, a sense of curiosity is kind of the name of the game. The name of the game is curiosity. Also, trusting the wisdom that you already have within you that you've accrued over time, and knowing that uh, what I'm hearing is whatever wisdom you've been accrued over time up until this point in your life is going to double or triple over the next few months. We're in a period of really beautifully accelerated energy. And part of his role is to actually ground us. Part of his role is to ground us. This is what Saturn is also doing in Pisces. It is grounding us so that all of this work that we've done around, how to say, like illuminating our spirit, there's been a lot of just a lot in the realm of the unknown, spiritually speaking. Like, let's say you're a spiritual teacher, guide, or even if you're an artist or you're an entrepreneur, there's something that's been like pulsing in terms of your spirit wanting you to make new things happen, to move in new directions, to create new things. And the role of this Saturnian grounding energy right now is to help put all those things in some sort of a structure. Structure right now is a welcome gift. There is freedom in the focus of structure, but you must have curiosity as well, because what's happened too is that we've had let's like structure. And by the way, Saturn has been in, prior to this, the couple of signs that he rules, Capricorn and Aquarius, right? So we've all heard about Saturn being in Aquarius and how that just like basically created this sense of constriction. Um, so for the past approximately 6 years, he's been in signs that he rules. So it's like amplifying his strength. Now he moves into Pisces, and it's almost like these two energies could not be more different. I have a strong personal association of Saturn with Virgo. Um, it's not necessarily one to one. It is the way I see it. Part of it is because I have my Saturn in the sign of Virgo, but I think informs me in a really powerful way, because it informs me of how to balance strategy with spirit. And this is what I've been talking about for years: is how do we balance strategy with spirit, spirit and strategy. Uh, and he says, you're a bridge between the two, and you get to be more and more comfortable with being a bridge, and not not be scared about it. I'm getting like not like that bad at all, just like chills of like, okay, I feel right now like um feel like a little girl in front of him, like how why and he's just like, no, like, you know chin up, shoulders back, stand tall, like, and he's not a figure of perfection by any means. Again, the first thing he led us with is curiosity. Curiosity and perfection can't really coexist, because if we're always striving for perfection, then we kill curiosity. um, so he led with curiosity, knowledge, and wisdom. This is not about perfectionism. This is not about proving your worth. This is not about, having to show other people what you know, how you know it, and how to do it. This is simply about standing grounded and with a sense of curiosity on your own 2 feet. And I invite you to do this with me right now: is to take a breath and actually put your shoulders back, chip. How does that feel? If it feels foreign, then we get to practice it a few times a day. Stand in front of the mirror and do this exercise. Whew. And maybe in those moments you can say, thanks, Merlin, for reminding me. and ask him, hey, what else do you want me to know? These conversations can happen with these archetypes and these guides all the time. I find it's one of the coolest things that I find in my life that as I've gotten closer and closer to my own magic, it's having that be almost like a constant guidance system. It's like having these guides around me all the time that aren't dictating my life, but are helping me to figure out moment by moment how to sometimes be much more courageous than I might be, sometimes be much more graceful with myself, sometimes soften, sometimes take a break, sometimes push forward, and they will come and go. And you might have the same experience where these guides come and go. Sometimes there's a certain one that is like feels very powerful, like Merlin does for me right now. It's also happened to me with Mary Magdalene. It's happened to me with the goddess Venus. It's happened to me with Artemis. And they seem to kind of come, show something, teach something, and then it's almost like they take a space. I want to say in like the pantheon of your guides, they take up their like almost like take a little bit of a back seat and maybe another guide comes in depending on where you are and what you need in your life. And I'm absolutely going to do another video, a whole video about speaking into this moment that I think Merlin is going to have with us. And also, I want to say that you think this is like totally cool or that I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And either way, that's okay because these times call for um these times call for n- like I don't want to say new ways. It's a remembering of the delight in the mystical. And unfortunately, a lot of that is seen the play with channeling, the play with imagination, the play with opening ourselves up to something else can often be seen as, you know, whatever words others want to use to describe it. And that's part of what has personally kept me from putting myself out there more and more as a conduit and a vehicle for these kinds of messages. But I'm willing to I'm willing to do it, scared and all. What I'm going to do now, actually, now that we've gotten into like connection with him, and he's here, let's um, let's pull some cards. The first deck that I was really drawn to is the Wild Unknown Archetypes by Kim Kranz. This is actually a deck that I haven't used in some time. Just going to clear that knocking is to clear the energy of the deck, by the way. You probably do it too. And if you don't, this is a good tip for you. um, so these cards are going to be whatever I pull right now is going to be connected to the messages that Merlin has for us and this energy of full moon in Virgo, Virgo, Pisces, Saturn entering into Pisces, this turning of light into form, this dream world. It's also what I'm seeing is like this sort of misty um again, this like misty magical uh smoke swirling into something that takes form. And the really important thing about all of this is how does it make you feel? Really, at the end of the day, any of these things, it's how does it make like you personally feel? When I say that, what did you think about? Because it's not about me, especially when we're channeling. Whoa, whoa. So the first card is um, called The Threshold. The Threshold. I'll read it now in a sec. Actually, I don't even have the book here. I have the book in a drawer and I'm not going to get it. So we're just going to we're going to bring it in. Um, but the threshold, I mean, it's the portal. It's that space of I'm about to enter something new. Um, There's been a lot of talk, and I've been feeling very clearly that March is a massive before and after moment for us collectively. Why? Number one, you just can't make the astrology up. There's so many things that are changing, so many really big players in the sky. I talked about this in one of my last videos where it was like you've had a play going on, right? A performance, a theater performance for a bunch of time, and then now like you're clearing the stage completely. There's not even a little crumb left from what used to be there before, and then you're going to bring in new props on the scene, new, we're going to go onto the scene again with a completely different landscape. So we're at the threshold of that right now, literally with Saturn entering Pisces today, with this full moon today, and this week in this energy of what do you have right now in your spiritual suitcase, in your energetic suitcase, in your suitcase of expectations that you've been carrying around that is too heavy. We got to let that go, clear it. Virgo is also about cleanliness, about clearing, about purity. Um, Bringing things to basically to their essence. And so take that also as an opportunity to do that as well, so that we can walk through that threshold hand in hand with, well, not hand in hand with Merlin. He's basically like standing in front of us, um, guiding us. Okay, here's the other one. The next card that came out is the Orphan. The Orphan. And what I feel with this immediately, and it's like, is how many of us might feel alone in this process. Um, when you open yourself up to letting go of everything that you knew before, you might feel like an orphan. You might feel like you've been cast off. It, it's like we might feel the sense of loneliness and the sense of, why is it just me? Why doesn't anybody else seem to be understanding this? At least that's what my experience is, and it feels even weird to say it, but um it does feel like an isolating experience. And can we still hold on to the faith and the trust and the hope and the optimism and the love and the belief that we're not going to be actually orphaned, we're not going to be left alone, that we're going to be taken care of, but it's almost like you have to walk across the threshold by yourself, um, which feels like an act that, again, can feel just incredibly scary. Just basically like, oh, okay. Really? I have another deck here. It's called the Earth Alchemy Oracle. And I brought this deck because I got it on my recent trip to England. I was in England last November, and I actually went to Glastonbury, um, which is the site connected to all the beautiful Avalon myths and legends. So I think part of this big, beautiful Merlin energy started to emerge during that time for me. I got this deck over there, and I thought, why not bring it, bring it for us? So the two cards that came out, and I invite you to maybe write these in your journal, and then you can explore them a little bit further if they call to you. The first one says gold and apple. Okay. Gold and apple. So gold is a metal, which has a lot to do with alchemy, right? Like, the whole point of alchemy was to turn base metals into gold, right? It says rewriting, queen codes, her story, and healing distortion. This is huge. And this is part of what I think we've been feeling, that orphaned energy, is because things have been so distorted for us over thousands of years, and we have felt this heaviness of almost feeling responsible. Do you know that feeling you get when you do something and it doesn't quite go the way you maybe planned, but then you end up beating yourself up because you feel like you did it? And we feel like that every time something happens. I'm not talking about being responsible and taking accountability for something that we actually did that, you know, um, we could have done differently. That's a mature response to certain instances where we behaved a certain way or did something that hurt somebody or whatever it may be. I'm talking about the distortion of it is constantly something we've done wrong. And instead of moving about in the world with the curiosity of trying new things, we're moving about in the world with this distortion of I'm trying to fix something that I already did wrong. I'd love to hear in the comments if anybody kind of like picks that up. And I have to ask our guide here, our Saturn and Pisces master guide, Merlin, like what do you say about this? And what I'm hearing is this sense of like, well, it's time. It's almost like what he's saying, which is very Virgo, is to take it in small doses, like to take this new thing, look at it like a seed that's been planted, right? That we are healing distortions. So you're healing the distortion of we are constantly fixing something that we thought we did wrong, which puts a lot of pressure. We're constantly doing these mental and emotional gymnastics to fix things that we don't even know where they even came from half the time. Like how often something happens and you immediately feel like, oh, I must have done this. This is my fault. And then we're atoning for it. We're trying to fix it instead of just letting it be what it was. So what I'm getting is a very practical kind of like just take it moment by moment. And the next time that it happens to you, have an awareness of it and go, oh, okay, okay, okay. Take a breath, have an awareness of having that feeling, and just ask yourself, like, what are the facts here? What are the facts in this situation? I see resonates deeply. Healthy strength came to me on golden apple. Yes. And Debbie says, can so relate. Think about all of us collectively healing that distortion, the distortion of you're not allowed to just walk around the world and be curious about things and make mistakes. And through those mistakes, discover new things. And I can go on and on about how the patriarchy and, so many things have been seeded in us for thousands of years that have brought us to this point, consciously, unconsciously, in all the conscious and not conscious ways. Um, but it is, think about, I mean, look at the images here again. There's the gold and apple. Look at the crown. There's a scale here. So there's a Libra energy there. We have a Libra full moon that's going to happen after the Aries new moon. So this is a Virgo full moon. Next, we have an Aries new moon, which is massively huge on the spring equinox, by the way. If you haven't considered joining me for Radiate, which starts on the spring equinox, that's your plug to think about it. Aries new moon, and then we have a Libra full moon. So something there is like, there's also a bumblebee on this apple here, which makes me think of Queen. So Queen codes, her story, healing distortion. That's so fascinating, that distortion thing. That really so I'll tell you a little bit behind the scenes of my process now of what I think about this, right? So, okay, I'm like, this idea of healing distortion really, really it gripped me in the sense that it's almost like spirit is saying, hey, MA, here's an opportunity for you to create some healing around this for others as you heal it yourself. Okay. So I immediately think, I will pull out my journal and I will do what I normally do is I will draw. I will have I can't see it there, but this is when I was working with it's almost like it's meant to be a mystery. This is when I was working with some of the energies that are coming now that I'm like, what is this all about? Here, this page is one of my favorites. Wait, it says bring these dreams into form. Um, this is Saturn. This is Saturn and Pisces. So I go, okay, great. I will sit with it. I will meditate on it, which for me is a very sort of active, imaginative meditation. Maybe I'll pull some cards on it, some tarot. Um, I'll see what are the connective tissues there. Again, that connective tissue, what connects the dots for me? Because what we're doing and what I want to help, what I do want to do myself and help want to help others do is to, I call it to define the points where our divinity and our humanity intersect. Again, going back to that spiritual material, your divinity and your humanity. You are both divine and you are human, right? You are divinely human and you are humanly divine. So there is a point where these two intersect. That point is it's like the creatrix center. That is where creatrix consciousness lies, because there is where you have the power to create literally everything. Now, if we have been fed this distorted idea that we first have to apologize before we create, oh, you first have to apologize before you create, then that'll stop us every time from creating. So then I'll work with that, and I invite you to do the same. Whatever you picked up from this is to keep it in your consciousness and be open to the messages that will come through that illuminate more and more what it's all about. Okay. And then the next card that came from this beautiful deck, wait till it focuses in. It's not doing anything. There we go. It says Emerald and Milk Thistle. Emerald and Milk Thistle. It says Heal the Healer, Soul's Truth, Atlantis, interesting, and Emerald Tablets. So if any of this does little like bing, little spark, Emerald and Milk Thistle, Heal the Healer, that healing distortion, right? Healing the healer. You probably are all here are healers in some capacity. Soul's Truth, Atlantis, Emerald Tablets. I also want to bring in Emerald. I immediately think of Venus. Um, the emerald is Venus's stone. It also happens to be the May stone. I was born in the month of May, and for the longest time, I was like emerald. I don't even really like emeralds that much. And now I have a whole different appreciation. Of course, emeralds were always beautiful, but it's not something I gravitated towards. Debbie says big spark. Oh, I'd love to hear more about that. So emeralds have to do with Venus, and Venus is the archetype that is going to help us heal these distorted codes, these distorted information, and bring in the queen codes, because Venus is all about self-worth. We're going to be working with Venus big time. I'll be doing more videos on Venus, and I'm for sure going to feed her into the Radiate program, because Venus equals radiate. Venus is self-worth. Venus is self-love. Your Venus story is a powerful one. How you relate to Venus, and Venus right now is in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the spark starter sign. She connected with Neptune before she left Pisces, right? So that's huge. Think about Atlantis there. I want you to, again, let's keep telling a story and connect to the dots. So Venus connected with Neptune, big magic there. Pisces is all about these dreams coming to form. Saturn now comes into Pisces, basically helping us to like, okay, let's put some form into this. Here comes Merlin, right? With his big robe and his magic wand and his owl and his like energy of, I'm going to help you ground this into reality. I'm going to help you ground your knowledge and your wisdom so that you don't feel like all lost, and also stay curious. And so Venus then moves into Aries. She connects with Jupiter, big energy there. She's right now been dancing with Chiron, the wounded healer. Again, we had this healing theme, healing the healer, healing distortions, healing our sense of self worth, healing all the ways that we are rewriting our story. That's the other message here in Gold and Apple, is rewriting. You are rewriting all the ways that you thought you had to be, that you thought you had to behave, that you thought you had to belittle yourself. I'm going to go in and let her be there. Behave, belittle yourself. If you have another BE word, I'm ready for it. Heal all of those things so that what? We can emerge at the threshold and open up this new space. And again, you will either think this all sounds really cool, or it's like, I don't know. Either way, it's happening. It's happening. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask Merlin if there's anything else he wants to share with us before we depart. I'm going to thank him for being part of our ritual today. We will see you again, my friend. Thank you, sir. I just hear, the magic of women, the magic of the feminine, the magic of the divinely feminine. He is this male figure that's very much connected to the idea of the creative force that happens through the feminine codes of both receiving and creating, and then embodies and connects the dots with that and the actual taking of form, like making the thing happen. A lot of faith, a lot of trust, and like a just ready, like you're ready, we're ready, whatever it is that your next step is, um, you're ready. Like we're ready for whatever that is in your own life. Collectively, we're ready, and individually and personally, we're ready. And you're also ready to help inform and help inspire and help light up the like be this beautiful spotlight in your own little world through these new times that we are living in and we're going to live in. Don't be surprised if people start to seek you out. The more you choose to radiate, the more magnetic you become. You clear out sort of the stuff that keeps you from shining, you radiate out, and then you become magnetic. And watch you, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you have people kind of coming out of, maybe somebody that you're not even expecting that comes, calls you, emails you, you bump into them, something happens. If it happens, send me an email. I see that's the best on the Apple. Be the best from Heather. Venus, I need to take a closer look. Yes, you do, Christy, for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. Venus will be huge for you. And Debbie says, thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. So again, thank you, Merlin. We will see you next time. I appreciate you for being here. Before we depart, I just want to give you a couple of tips, some of the practical ways that I love to work with full moons. And thank you for joining me, by the way. Thank you for sticking around. Moon water. Every full moon, I will fill. This one I happen to bring from Chalice Well in the UK, a very sacred site. I have the water from the well in a different glass jar. But this one, what I do is I create full moon water. I will fill it. I will set it on my windowsill. If possible, I put it in the backyard, but just setting it on the windowsill is perfectly fine, or wherever in your home you can get close to a window or not. It's the intention that counts. Allow it to charge with the full moon. And then what I personally do is I will then in the following new moon, which again, this will be a new moon in Aries, and there will be more opportunities for you to, activate yourself with that lunation. But I will use this in the shower. If you can take a bath, great. I usually just shower and I will pour it on me, rinse my hands, pour it on my feet, and basically bathe myself in the full moon water with the new moon. It kind of closes the cycle and it just is a beautiful experience. Working with salt. This is gray sea salt, for example. It came in a little bag. I just popped it in this thing because I thought it was super cute. It's a cute, adorable mason jar. Um, this is great in the shower if you want to just grab a little bit and very gently just like rub your third eye, your throat chakra, the back of your neck right here, your hands, your feet. Another little tip that I love is because I don't have a bathtub here to take baths in, I will pour some Epsom salt on the bottom of the shower, just a little bit. And I will stand on it, and the Epsom salt will help to ground you. You can also use some to just rub like this your arms, your chest very lightly, your belly, your back, just wherever. And the intention is that you are invoking the salt's energy and properties to both ground you and also help to clear your energy, because then that just it's like a bath that just leaves you not just clean in the exterior, but also your energy clean, and can be a really beautiful way to ritualize your showers. Um, and I think that is it. I'll invite you to just close your eyes here for a moment while we close this beautiful space together. Again, in deep appreciation for everybody that stuck around up to this point. If you did, put a little like wizard emoji or a full moon emoji in the comments. Um, Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting your own magic. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your energy. Thank you for walking in magic with me. And there's always other ways that we can work together that you can find in the links below. But just being here and subscribing and sharing and liking and commenting fills me with such joy and gratitude for everybody that shows up and spends this time. So thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And may this full moon help us to clear ourselves, may it help us to connect our spiritual selves with our grounded selves, so that we can connect the ethereal and the material world, find a more ease in walking between the two, build a bridge that stays connected. May we be open enough to see all the synchronicities around us. May we open our hearts to the magic that is seeking to pour through. May we forgive. May we heal. May we remember what it is to be whole and complete. May we allow our true nature to keep calling us back, so that we may be luminous, not because we are trying to be, but just because we know that we are. May Merlin and Venus guide us over these next few weeks. I'm so excited to see, because those two can make quite the interesting team. So we'll see what comes up. And I'm always here for any questions or any follow-ups. So oh my gosh, I love the little moons. There's that wizard emoji. That's the one I love. I love it. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Yagdeep. So good to see you guys here. All my love and stardust. Always, 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 my friends. Be well. Take care. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.